to the dogs. Specifically
Yeah,
our dogs.
Speaking of dogs,
it's kind of tough trying to do a cold open when it's your second time attempting the cold open. But again, I can make the same joke twice. It doesn't seem that cold now when it's well known. It's more a little lukewarm. But episode 3, how many people here thought we would make it this far? Shout out the haters.
We were almost cooked
Woo!
after one.
We were.
I mean, I don't want to talk about it just yet. You know, we're still opening it, but like I was happy with last week from all three of us. I thought it was pretty solid. But
From a spread standpoint,
before we talk ball, how are you guys doing today? Another week in the office. Anything new?
You know, I've had to make some adjustments this last week.
Yeah, show the championship ring, guy.
Got sustained a nice little injury here.
championship ring. And yeah, and how did you do that?
I was working.
For all those who are greatly concerned.
I was working and work at a gym. Was shut in the shower door. Finger got stuck in the shower door. It's like one of the like really heavy glass pane ones. And it slammed full, like, boom. Like for a sound effect. Boom. Broke instantly. So we got this on. It's been a week now. It was like literally the day after we filmed episode 2. But we'll have this on for one more episode. So this one and then next week, and then we'll be back to normal.
Do you think it affects your podcasting?
No, it just affects like everything else in my daily life. Yeah, it's funny because you don't really. This is my offhand, which is a good thing, but also it's like the most annoying finger to have a splint on. Driving sucks because it looks like I'm flipping everybody off because I just have my finger up like this on the wheel the whole time. Yeah, it's been a pain, but it doesn't hurt anymore, at least in the splint. I just get like these weird finger cramps.
How about you, Brooklyn?
Start flexing that thing.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, so far the week's not been too bad. You know, had the holiday to start Monday off, and I didn't have to do my job as a personal trainer in the evening. So other than that, Monday night was good. You know, you and I both won a little bit of money at the end of the day.
That was big.
So Sunday could take it or leave it. Probably leave it.
I was working, with my boss, and he doesn't know about the podcast. Well, he knows that we're recording the podcast, but as a casual Commanders fan in Connecticut, you can imagine that, if he's barely watching the games, he's not tuning in. But today, he was actually decently upset with his Commanders. And he was
As
he
he
was
should be, man.
Yeah, and I mentioned how we were recording tonight, and he's like, yeah, my Commanders better get this bounce back win. This is some bullshit. And like, again, mind you, I think he tunes into like 3 games a year, but I didn't have the heart to tell him that I took the Bears last week.
That's tough.
But yeah, I think a quick recap of last week. So in total, I mean, from how many games we had? 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna stop there.
16.
Yeah, so I actually led the way with 9 correct picks. Brooklyn right behind me with 8, and Nick there at 7. And I don't honestly think it gets better than that. I mean, it definitely can, but I don't think that's an expectation. I mean, getting 9 right, 5 wrong. I mean, I'm not saying I took all of my picks, like I wagered them all, but if I did, I'd be up. That goes for all 3 of us here.
Right.
But what were some crazy ones to talk about? Oh yeah, the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
What a masterclass from me.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I also, we were talking about if you have Steak and Scatterbo, that's the only player you should consider. And I was like, you know what? I don't trust it. And so I sat him in my matchup. I still blew my matchup out of the water.
Okay.
Yeah, like Jimmy is gone. Dethroned the final unbeaten
Name
team
drop too.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, James, you know who you are.
Yeah, he's no longer unbeaten. That's huge.
Right. Yeah. But Scatterbo having 30 on my bench definitely hurt. And not just that, like in our dynasty league, I have 4 tight ends. 4 some of the top. I have Kincaid, I have Goddard, I have Njoku and Hawkinson for just no reason. My girlfriend was like, "You don't need that many tight ends," and I was like, "It's in case anyone else gets injured that they don't have a solid option to go to."
Well,
I have that.
They're all roughly the same age, so they could all just get hurt at the same time.
Can we go back to
I'm screwed.
can we go back to the point? So how much does your girlfriend know about fantasy football? Because if
Oh,
I showed
a lot.
any girl that like does not have a fantasy football team my roster, I'd be decently surprised if the question was why do you have so many tight ends?
Oh, dude, the week that I had taken a Chargers pick, I think it was over team total against the Giants or whatever it was. She was like, "You shouldn't have done that." Jackson Dart's first start. You're like, that game's gonna be a lot different than you think, and it was. And I'm like, but she's a huge Bills fan. She reads into fantasy a ton. She knows a pretty she knows ball.
Well, if you're
So
sick one week, get her on the mic.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, no, I sat Scatterby not by accident. I just didn't predict that type of performance. I don't think anyone really did that level. And Goddard was also on the bench, so that's 50 points that was just left there. But Rico Dowdle saved the day for me again. So
I mean, if we're talking just general fantasy about that, I had a week where in a super flex league, I scored 135, and the weekly report told me that my max potential that week was over 200. That's with Dallas
Yeah.
Goddard on the bench. That was with Kamara on the bench, who didn't do, he wasn't too crazy, but I had Booty on the bench, and yeah, I lost by like 30. But going back to this, Philly, I mean, we talked about how Philly struggled against zone, and they really didn't, they did exactly what we thought there. I was just more surprised on how Jackson Dart actually moved through the offense with no neighbors. Again, that no neighbors. They didn't have Darius Slayton. You saw Lil Jordan Humphrey get like 8 targets.
little Jordan Humphrey out of
Yep.
nowhere.
Wandale
Dude,
Robinson looked like a true
dude,
wide receiver 1-2 for a little bit. Well, especially in that game. But like he's always kind of been, especially last year too, consistent PPR guy, gets the targets, gets the catches. This is kind of his time to shine, and like especially gets a good secondary like Philly. He's showcased. That long touchdown bomb was pretty cool. Not gonna lie, especially
I
since
want
he
to real
started
quick
him.
fucking hone in and laugh at Russell Wilson's one and only pass attempt.
Yeah.
Dave cuts to Dable. Where is he? Just like screaming at the team doctor. Well, yeah, dude. That
I
speaking of
know.
that, Dart showed up and it was crazy. I didn't like under that much pressure in a primetime game. Like I did not ever foresee him being a guy who could come out and really control the offense like that. So that's awesome for them. I mean,
They
I
established
don't
the
think
run.
that.
That's I mean
Yeah,
they kind of made it
very much
easy.
so.
They were up early,
Um,
so that I think the pressure was kind of there wasn't as much on them as the game continued.
But like, do I think that like the Giants are going to be able to carry that momentum type of thing every week? Like, their
Well,
receiving
find
core
out
is
soon.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? Yeah, we'll get there. But
Um,
Will Jordan Humphrey, how?
the and our newly coined, even though we didn't talk about this last week, but we talked about flaming shit versus cold poop being the Titans Raiders, and the the Broncos Jets game. They like that was a pile of shit on a field.
Oh my god, dude.
Speaking
That was
of
so
speaking of
bad.
shit and field in the same sentence, I think that you can assume what we're talking about with the Jets because that was a team.
Yeah.
If you include the sacks, the 9 sacks, because Denver loves sack, but
They do.
the
Back.
9 sacks that Fields took, he ended up having a negative like 12-ish passing yards
Yeah,
when you account for
I
yards
forget
lost.
what the stat was. Does anyone remember how many total yards they had as a team? I'm pretty sure it
I think it
was
was 82.
abysmal. Yeah, bro, that is unbelievably
They had
just
32 going
horrendous.
in a half. So they had a
Um,
great second half, if you count.
Yeah.
Like when you're in the locker room and coach is like, "Hey, just win the half." They might not even won the half, but they
Finish out
improved.
strong. Then they get a safety, but not like a real
right.
safety.
Yeah, but Brooklyn
Um,
shout out the Jets plus 7.5
just
though.
just like I said, I was like, they're a team like desperately scrounging for a win, and I'm like looking at this game, and I'm like, I don't think they're gonna win it. If they do, that'd be crazy. But I think they're gonna keep that close enough to cover plus 7.5. They were close to winning it. It just, God, that was awful. That
Nick's
was so bad.
pick of the week in the Colts that did not go as planned. Jacoby Brissett ruined
No.
our days.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Colts still grabbed the win, but did not in fact cover
They
the
did.
spread.
No, they won by 4,
Um,
but
probably my favorite pick of mine that went the right way last week, the Panthers. That was sick.
yeah. That
I
was really cool.
just for fantasy purposes, I think it's pretty clear that like if you have anybody playing the Cowboys it's got to throw him in the starting lineup some way or another. Cowboys defense is so fun to watch for all the, as long as you're not a Cowboys fan.
Yeah,
They
seriously.
that's exciting, and it was also a really close game, I might add. Um, Pittsburgh over Cleveland. I mean that Dylan Gabriel, Pittsburgh defense kind
I
of.
don't know why. I don't know why I even remotely took the Browns in this.
But what about like the Titans back in our first episode? Like, granted,
I don't know.
granted it covered, but
It covered
it's another
the
one of
worst
those where I'm
way
like,
possible.
why?
But like Cam Ward, that's a little different than Dylan fucking Gabriel. Like that's the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
So
Like
they
I
go
don't
yell
know.
in the mirror. You're the one that took Cleveland.
Yeah, I know. I know. Like looking at the spreadsheet right now, the first 5 games that we have, excuse me, yeah, 5, just all red. I got all wrong. I
But
You
went
were on a scary pace
But-
there.
the early slate for me, including the Thursday night game, the London game, and the 1 o'clock games. I went 3 for 5. It was really tough for me.
But this is where you start to go on a little bit of a run. Brooklyn's favorite team, the Chargers,
My God, are they banned?
won the game. But oh my, was that a situation? And also, if you didn't watch, for all those that did not, the insane ending of this game was crazy. So I'm watching Red Zone.
It was insane.
And the Dolphins are they're losing with 5 seconds left in the game after McConkey makes that little whoop, excuse me, and then the Chargers score. And so 5 seconds left in the game, and I literally say to my friends next to me, I go, and I'm like, I'm more scared that the Chargers are going to score on this play. Mind you, Tua is about to take the snap. And I'm like, I'm scared that the Chargers are gonna, we've seen it before with like the Eagles having that insane cover against the Rams. And 2 seconds after I say that, Tua, again, 5 seconds left, you're thinking a deep bomb, Miami Miracle, maybe something. Throws like a 7-yard screen pass, and it immediately gets picked off by Derwin James. And Derwin James has daylight. He can bring it all the way back. And he just runs right out of bounds. I jumped off that couch.
For that exact reason, I banned the Chargers from my slips for at least a couple of weeks. I gave them so many chances. I was like, Chargers -3. Before that, I even took them in a way that screwed me over. And then, for my spread, I'm like, Chargers playing the Dolphins, bounce back week. I think they could definitely clear -4.5. And wow.
They were for a little bit.
But just like, they have in the last couple of weeks I've taken them, they just blow it.
Yeah.
And then he goes out of bounds.
They got a lot of injuries right now, man. That offensive line is tough.
Oh yeah,
to look at.
we'll get there. Don't worry. We'll get there very shortly.
Next 3 matchups, not going to go too much in detail because we all said the same things here. Rams -7.5. That was kind of boring. My pick of the week.
Kind of boring. That game was ugly as hell until like after halftime. That first half was horrendous. And Derrick Henry, what are we doing?
I mean,
yeah, man.
Probably his best game on the ground in the last couple of days or last
Only
couple
good
games.
when the Ravens.
I feel like that's not saying much right now. Like
Well,
that game was what 3-3 for a good portion.
The problem with Derrick Henry, if you're talking fantasy wise, is he's not a guy that necessarily does much in the receiving side of the game. So like if the Ravens are losing, it's tough to kind of force him the ball. And especially too when you have Cooper Rush at the helm, like, and I know Huntley came in later in this game, but like when you have Cooper Rush out there, it's, what are you more scared of? The rush of Derrick Henry or the rush of Cooper? Like,
Yeah.
Cooper Rush.
Sorry,
Getting
that was a
the
little
ball
play on
is
words
scary.
there.
You little silly goose.
But New England -3.5. Wasn't really a safe. I mean, like through the game, it was close the whole way through. There were some crazy penalties in that game. All of us take Seattle +1.5 there. That one felt
Let me
good.
just say again, that was almost my pick
Yep.
of the week last week.
Yeah.
And then I finally got one on the board. Seattle just on paper seems like a better team, and Jacksonville, while they lead the league in turnovers, I think that they're just kind of like a fraud for what their record shows.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna talk. I'm excited to talk about Jacksonville later because I kind of want to discuss that more.
This Bucks game, man. Whew.
Yeah, I was on a heater through the
This was a close one too. This was a really close game for a little bit.
Going into this game, I was 6-1 on the day. and it was a matter of time. I said I wouldn't bet against Shanahan, and I mean they were in it for a little bit, but like that San Fran team was way too beat up, and Baker Mayfield right now
Yeah.
looks like the MVP with a very interesting wide receiving core.
Yep.
One funny note from that game too, Tez Johnson catches the touchdown, and all the fans start chanting MVP, and he goes off the sidelines and he's talking to Sterling Shepard, and he's like, "Oh," he's like, I haven't really played that much. I'm surprised at the MVP chants after my touchdown." And Sterling Shepard just he's like,
They're
"Nah."
talking about you.
He's like, "Yeah, bro, they're talking about Baker. Settle down." Bad beat there. We both all three of us took Raiders minus 4.5 in the
Oh my gosh, Cam Ward's incredible fumble,
Oh,
just leaving the
dude.
ball behind when he went to throw it.
That
saw
happened
we saw
twice, and
Dart
when
do
we
that. Like
I text our group chat, I'm like, guys, what the fuck was that Titans
oh
fight?
my god, that was so tough.
If you haven't seen it, you gotta look it up. It's really not hard to find because that was unbelievable.
the Titans
Yeah.
found a way to make the Raiders look good, which speaks for itself there.
Yep.
I want to credit Nick to this one. A lot of, before the pod, I feel like there was a lot of mixed opinions on a 14.5 spread of the Cincy and Green Bay game. And we ended up all going Bengals. And that was a good one. Joe Flacco actually can move the ball. And he's like, whoa,
Mhm.
this Jamar Chase guy is kind of good. His touchdown is kind of insane too.
The Jordan Love pick on the first drive definitely helped. If that didn't happen, I think it would have been very different. But I mean, a
That's
lot of
sports.
that game was just running the ball with Josh Jacobs. So, like, that kind of helped us out a lot. So I was happy about that pick.
Two stinkers for us, and this one really upsets me because right after the pod I was like, man, I don't know if Casey like it like when you look at their full season, like this seemed like a must win for them, and I was kind of mad after, but I stuck with my gut there, and we were all wrong on Detroit, we were all wrong on Buffalo, and then for the Monday night or the second Monday night game, I chose the Bears, but we have two L's on the Commanders. One
Still
interesting
take that. I
stat.
didn't put money on on the Commanders as much as I thought the spread was going to cover, but again, that ending of the game was kind of crazy. That DeAndre Swift catch for a 55-yard touchdown was wild, and then Jaden Daniels has slippery hands apparently. But hey, capitalized on that and made some coin, so that's kind of a win in my book. Even though my line is red, but
Yep. I was just about to say I did take 2 of Nico's picks in this, even though I didn't take them in our actual spread. But I did send my regards yesterday morning, saying thank you for the picks.
The only one that I went against my own picks when actually looking at the sports books this weekend was the Falcons. Right before the game, I took them to cover, which I was like, whenever I see those stats like right before the game and it leans one way, I was like, shit, man, like I don't want to ruin my record for the pod. But I guess
I only took the Bears. I did not touch the Buffalo game. I liked Brooklyn's pick, but I just felt like I don't know. I just didn't like the 3.5.
But interesting thing
that
to
pick's
note.
Game.
An interesting
Yeah.
thing to note about those games, which also brought to you by Storlazi Stats, underdogs.
Sponsor.
Yes, sir. I did some research.
Underdog. Yeah, I didn't even do the homework. You want to talk this?
Yeah. So
take the floor.
I did a little bit of research. Well, Nico brought up the idea. So basically, not the idea, but I did the research. It was a co-effort. Shout out Brooklyn. In all the primetime games that happened this year so far, it's clear as day that the underdogs have actually a better record than the favorites. So this includes Thursday night games, Sunday night games, Monday night games, and then we also included the London games. So total record is
Not just
15
London,
and 9.
outside of.
Oh, sorry,
US,
outside of the US. Outside of the US. Technically, because NFL
the early
Network.
bird games.
Right. But the underdogs have covered against the spread 15 times and have only lost 9 times. So it's pretty interesting. It's a pretty interesting stat.
That's more than interesting. I think that's
It's
insane.
like it's insane. It's like dead on 50%. So
Well, almost
50%.
not really.
Well, yeah, this is an old number because I did do the counting wrong and then I had to readjust. But yeah, 15-9 on the season. So
But with that, unless
That is
anybody has
big.
any points they want to bring up from last week, I'm ready to jump into
Oh,
this week's
I
of
wanna shame
games.
the Bills real quick.
Fire away.
And being a Bills fan and also taking that spread. Oh my god! Like, in exactly like the same way I said in the last episode, I was like, the Bills defense is literally, or the Falcons defense was gonna break them, and it really made them. Josh Allen played horrible. And not just that, the Bills, just like they haven't been able to all season long, could not stop the run. And obviously, you expected the Falcons to really lean on Bijan, 81-yard touchdown. That was just cementing the fact that the Bills have so many holes right now. Even with Ed Oliver coming back that game, um, you know, they said on the broadcast, they're showing Penix so many different coverages right now, but like nothing was clicking. They could not stuff the run, and also Bijan is Bijan. You got to always give him his respect there. But even Tyler Algier was able to get the first touchdown of the game. Granted, they ran a little motion where Bijan went to the right side, and everyone followed him, obviously, but that and alongside Drake London having a great night, like the Bills defense has so many holes right now. And 4-2, two losses against. Sorry, who did they just lose to previously?
Patriots.
Right, right.
Let's
Two
go
games
Pat,
of which
baby.
two games of which on paper you think the Bills are likely the better team, and you just gotta look at the Bills right now and be like, that everybody eats thing is like, you got some okay to solid guys as receivers. I think if you're looking at the Bills, like how far they're going to go in the postseason, they might have to make some changes to get that receiving core to be a bit stronger.
I was
But
just gonna
that's
say
where I
that.
stand. I
Yeah.
think. Oh, real quick. Let me pull up a stat. I did the math. Averaged the um, rushing yards allowed per game in the NFL. Average between all teams together is 99.85. They let up on average 156 rushing yards per game right now. The Bills.
That's crazy.
That is so
Holy
above
shit.
league average. And that's just that. I mean, I know Milano was out last week and everything, but they got Bosa, they have Ed Oliver, they have Rousseau. Like, Benford most of the time has been healthy. Trey White's been kind of a liability right now. He's old. Um, they got a lot to clean up there, and I'm kind of pissed about that pick bombing that bad. I really thought better team overall should probably win that again, especially against the Falcons. They made Penix look a lot better than he is right now. So that's my piece.
Yeah, no Kincaid, I think, really showed that this offense doesn't really have anything in the receiving core. Like Keon Coleman, you thought like there was hope he would take the step up this year, and he so far has not. But with that said, we are into week 7. I say whoop whoop, and we're getting the battle of the ages. Emphasis on the ages.
I see what you did there. I like that.
Thursday night football, the second oldest QB matchup of all time, outside of Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
Really?
We've got
That's awesome.
we've got the young gunslinging Aaron Rodgers versus the. I was gonna make another young joke, but Joe Flacco.
Imagine
Flacco
like
seems like
Cincinnati
50.
had like Myles Garrett, Pittsburgh had Micah Parsons. Imagine what kind of game this would be. You're just getting ready to see two old timers possibly croak.
Every week, it's like I consider Joe Flacco kind of like the crusty white dog that your friend has. It's like it's like 13, and you're like, oh,
I say the same for Aaron. Are you
Oh,
kidding?
he's so cute.
How are they doing? Oh,
He's still kicking, yeah.
They lost vision in their eyes, but they can kind of hear, but he's still eating. Like
Well, yeah, I know you did say if one of these QBs gets hit, they can get croaked. Yeah, they got fucking TJ Watt.
Right.
Joe Flacco again can fucking die.
Trey Hendricks
Part
is
2.
questionable, but he's no TJ Watt.
Yeah, we're looking at a -5.5 in favor of Pittsburgh. And I know, looking at what we took for this week, I see that we have. Oh, I'm on week 6. We right before the pod. Funny enough, I see a buzzer beater switch here, but I see that Brooklyn was leaning Cincinnati for a little bit. We just talked about underdogs dominating the spread so far in prime time, and all of us took the favorites here. So what are we seeing from a game script? We're all saying like Pittsburgh -5.5. Are we seeing any type of close game, or?
I see the reason, like I just switched before we started, and that's mainly because I'm kind of leaning on again Rodgers has been playing pretty decent so far. The Steelers defense now is not as banged up as it was. I don't, they're still not they're still like a crazy defense by any means. The only thing that kind of swayed my opinion was just that the Bengals started to look pretty decent against the Packers. And like I said before, you give, Jamar Chase a decent quarterback, and Jamar had one of his better games in terms of efficiency too. Like that Lions game was kind of a shit show, and they kind of came back in crunch time. But in terms of like, he had 12 targets, converted 10 into receptions, had a touchdown and almost 100 yards. Flacco didn't throw a pick. 29 for 45 is nothing crazy good. That's not good. But at the same time, like he started to show signs of life, and I kind of think against the Steelers defense that isn't exactly like a shutdown team. Like they could definitely be close enough to be within 5.5. This is also one of those last couple of games like within that division right now to kind of close a gap. I think Cincinnati's gonna be doing everything they can to keep this close, possibly get a win. But I also want to lead with the Steelers right now just because of who's probably the better team in this matchup. That's kind of why I switched.
I don't know about you, Nick, but there's probably outside of Jamar Chase, nothing I love about the Bengals offense.
No, their run game is non-existent. I mean, no immobile quarterback. Clearly, he just literally just not. I was gonna say sucks. He doesn't sucks. He's just slow. Like he just can't move around in the pocket. And the Bengals O line again sucks. Chase Brown sucks. T Higgins just been mid. I know the Jake Browning chuck it up deep ball to T Higgins every third down when he was starting just really didn't necessarily work out. But I don't know, man. I mean, I think this Pittsburgh defense hasn't been good as it's nearly been in the last few years, but I still think it's good enough that it's going to make Cincinnati's offense struggle like it has been recently. And, I mean, the late Jamar Chase touchdown against Green Bay, I feel like that just happens all the time. And I'm not just saying that. I just feel like it's a given. Like at one of these points, Jamar's gonna have his Jamar Chase play. But I
Yeah, that
mean,
was not an
okay.
ordinary touchdown by any means.
Oh God, I mean, no, it wasn't.
He
It was
said, "Give me that over not one but two."
two guys.
Something to
But
monitor here for this line. Talking money percentage, about 57% of the money is currently on Cincinnati.
Yeah, that I'm
Not
not
a
scared
crazy
of.
differential, but it's something I of course we both look at. But
I think the
you know,
like the cherry on top for me for picking Pittsburgh was Trey Hendrickson. The availability right now, it's kind of up in the air. And I'd mentioned how on offense, Jamar Chase is the only thing I like for Cincinnati, but we're talking defense. There's there's not too much there, and you get rid of Trey Hendrickson, and yeah, this could get ugly really quick. Jalen Warren's been good. Like the Steelers have been able to establish the run. DK,
yep,
the connection with Aaron Rodgers and DK, it hasn't been perfect, but it's been working so far.
it's been
Only
there.
21% of the target share, but 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. Kind of crazy. But all of us lean in Pitt there, and again, so far every time we've picked, I think that every time the three of us have had the same primetime pick, it has not worked out.
It's lost. It's
Um,
lost.
so with that being said,
Cincinnati's gonna cover.
but to make it even worse in that sense, we're talking about the early birds game, Jacksonville versus the Rams. Rams now -3. All three of us are on Jacksonville, which
Yeah,
that's another thing. Giving it back to Brooklyn here, because you just said not even 30 minutes ago that you think Jacksonville is kind of fluky. But you think they cover here against the Rams.
in a game that the Rams just lost Puka in right now, that's going to be a big blow. And then behind Puka is Devontae, but behind Devontae is what, Jordan Whittington. And speaking of which, I believe the Jaguars are a top 10 team against lowest rushing yards. Overall, they've been pretty good at stuffing the run. And you take Puka out of that equation, that's obviously going to be a huge hit for Stafford now. I know I called them frauds and everything, but at the same time, when you take one of the major pieces of that offense out of the picture, it can be a different ball game. And also Stafford hasn't entirely been a consistent, he's had his troubles. He's made some bad reads. I think also with the Jags, I believe also leading the league in interceptions. I think that defense could definitely hold their own against now what is going to be still a decent Rams offense, but their strengths are kind of being muffed by the Jaguars' defensive strengths too. So
I think what worried
Uh,
me, unless,
no,
no.
no, man. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'll let you go first. You introduce the topic. No, you can talk second too. It's completely fine. Go
Oh,
ahead.
okay. We need to establish like a conch shell or something. Something like a little. Oh, it's my turn to
the
talk.
Yeah, I
conch
know.
shell.
This is for me, please.
No, go ahead. It's okay.
Yeah, but Puka's a big injury, and the Rams last week against the Ravens, as we saw, kind of a poop first half. Whereas you talk about like the Jacksonville team that, and I think that you look at the teams that both the Rams and Jacksonville have played, and Jacksonville, I mean, I do agree. Some of it does look a little bit fluky, but they're when you have a head coach that's known as an offensive mastermind, and the defense has kind of been carrying you through the season, it goes to one of those points where I think either the offense is going to take a step up, and we're going to see this team really emerge as a legit playoff contender, or T Law continues to be the inconsistent T Law that we see, and the receivers continue to drop passes. But
Brian
I'm
Thomas is coming off of one of his. I think is that not his best game of the year so far?
100%.
Yeah, I would.
100%.
Yeah,
So
100%.
momentum at least for them is moving in a positive direction. They didn't get the win last week, obviously, but
Travis
they
Etienne
get
hasn't looked that great ever since
recently,
his
yeah.
little great
Um,
start that he had at the beginning of the year. He's kind of.
but I think it's obviously a big opportunity that they can steal a game like this against a team that's arguably that is better than them on paper. They could definitely steal us against the Rams, especially with Puka out. So
Rams third in defensive points allowed right now at 18.3. Again, played Cooper Rush last week, but
You were just so you talked before me, and then you shared the stat that I literally wrote down too.
I
That's
wrote that one
fucking
down. I
insane.
wrote
No,
that
you
one down.
didn't.
Third in defensive points allowed? Yeah, that was me,
I
guy.
had that too.
Oh, oops.
Whatever.
Oops.
Some of the other notes that I wrote, I took down.
this is why we color coordinate around here.
This game is Wembley Stadium. Jags 6-5 in London. They are 4-5 in Wembley. This is the 12th
Something about
game.
the air over there, huh?
This is the 12th game that they will be playing in London all time. T-Law has been sacked 13 times in 6 games. For context, he played 10 games last season and he was sacked for a total of 18 times. So, safe to say the protection is not there. And at this rate, he's going to be getting sacked a ton this season. And then Jacksonville too. Again, we've been talking about Puka basically this whole game, but especially with him not being here, Jacksonville has the third worst ranked secondary. So him being there obviously is going to be a major hit to this offense because being able to capitalize on that. But I mean, they still have Devontae Adams. I think he's still going to be able to shine.
Tutu Atwell might be out as well.
The Jordan
Well,
Whittington
it's
show, everybody.
I was about to say the Jordan Whittington show, the Tyler Higbee show.
The
as
Tyler Higbee show, yeah.
well.
Now this is a funny one. I like this game. I like this game.
You like this game.
Raiders
this game.
versus the
Hate this game.
Chiefs. Opened at 10.5. Now we're talking 11.5. And the crazy thing is, oh my God, the Raider Gino's been bad, going to Kansas City. Oh, but Nick's the only one riding Mahomes, riding the
Damn.
QB1 in fantasy right now. Patrick Mahomes.
Yep, QB1 in fantasy. He's getting his wide receiver one back. They just beat one of the best offensive teams, if not the best offensive team through the air in the NFL. Their secondary looks really good, and I mean, what have the Raiders shown through these 6 weeks?
That they could beat Cam Ward and the Titans.
Great, yeah, but
It's a
I
statement
mean,
win.
They are the
they
best.
just beat they just beat the Lions by 13. They are home again. It's a division game. I could see them covering by 12, 100%.
I've got a couple cool stats to talk about for the Raiders, but Brooklyn, why did you take Las Vegas?
In as much of a way that I also agree that like the Chiefs have obviously the offensive firepower to cover. I'm kind of leaning back on the same thing we argued from last week, that this is a wide margin, and I don't really feel comfortable taking spreads that are typically that high unless it was for that exact reason. Is because to me that range is just a little bit too much for me to feel like I want to. I think that the Chiefs are obviously going to win between 2 touchdowns. So obviously I don't think that Vegas steals this game by any means, but it's just a little too high for me.
Also, just a little off topic, but talking back to the large spreads of like Cincy and Green Bay last week, when a game starts and you have 14 points to play with, like when you see a tie ball game, you're like, still got 2 like it's a little bit more like it's a little softening on the heart. I feel like I'm not like stressing too much.
Hmm.
As crazy as that
No,
sounds.
I definitely agree. There's a little bit of wiggle room there, but I don't know. Then Chiefs go up 2 touchdowns against the Raiders early on in the game. Are you sweating that? I would be.
Well, yeah, because then all of it's on Gino. And
To me, I feel like if you take this spread, you're kind of trapping yourself. Like I just wouldn't touch this line at all. But if we had to pick between one, yeah, I'm gonna lean Raiders just because I like that cushion to start off with. But I wouldn't touch this game with anything.
Chiefs last year were 0-2 against the spread when it was more than 10. And since Mahomes has been a starter in 2018, Mahomes is 7-7 against the spread against the Raiders. And I know we've seen some very different Raiders teams through the years. But for some reason, they give Mahomes a little bit more trouble than you would have thought.
They definitely do. I always feel like whenever they have primetime games, it's always close. But this is it. This is the game that they cover
See, I
by more
disagree.
than 10.
Am I touching Vegas money line? Hell no. Nowhere
No.
close. But I do think
My dollar of fan cash on it. It's not my money anyway.
But like a late touchdown by the Raiders to make it a 10-point game. I think that could happen.
I do see Genti having a big game. I
Dep-
do see him like
He's really
definitely
one of the
being
only ones who
utilized. Like,
can.
well, I know, but I'm just saying, like the secondary is really good, but they haven't really been good at defending the run.
Just
So
Chris
I
Jones.
definitely see. Yeah.
That D line's been
Well,
very disappointing.
yeah.
One
So I
one
definitely
fluky
see.
thing about the Chiefs I find funny is if you look at like the rush EPA, they're in like the top 10. And it is solely off of Mahomes and his rushing ability this year. Both, but the whole running back room for the Chiefs has not been good, but Mahomes has found ways to continue to move the offense down the field just by getting those little chunk plays on the first down, or just extending the play. But go Raiders
He
this
does
week.
lead the league, or not league. He does lead the team in rushing yards.
Yeah.
Which is
that's
just so gross because
It's insane.
you look at his carries compared to Pacheco. Pacheco's got 51 carries. Mahomes has 38, and he's beating him by 8 yards. 222 to 214, man. What the hell are we doing? Including more rushing touchdowns than Kareem Hunt, who is their goal line back, by the way.
They have to trade for a running back.
They're there for show.
They
they have to make a move. They definitely will.
I think Breece Hall is too obvious, but at the same time,
What do
I
they
think
have?
it makes so much
They have
sense.
to trade for him.
Especially after he just made some very like cryptic tweet about free 20. So who knows?
Damn.
Who knows? It would make sense.
They're 0-6. I can't blame them.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually not been bad.
The guy knows he's probably too good to be in the situation he's in. So
now we've got our inaugural. Well, you can almost count Titans Raiders last week as our like poop game of the week.
Yeah.
Because I can't call the Browns or the Dolphins flaming shit when both of them are coming off of not the greatest L's in the world. But the poop game of the week, baby. Dolphins at Cleveland. Browns opening up at -2.5. And oh boy. Brooklyn.
I don't know.
Believing in Dylan Gabriel this week?
Not entirely believing in Dylan Gabriel, but believing in the Browns defense versus Tua is more of my main lean here. I think this is going to be just as ugly as everyone expects it to be. God, I mean, and this is not to at all, say like, this is me saying, God forbid Tua get another concussion in this game against Myles Garrett, as we all know. That Browns defense has been one of the better teams in the league, and especially against now, of course, an injured Dolphins receiving core. It's gonna be, they're gonna try to stuff the run. A-Chain's gonna be taken out of the picture in that category. They're gonna have to really just go to checkdowns every single fight, and we'll see what they can make out of that. As compared to Miami defense that we know has been horrible. Dylan Gabriel gets a chance to really show what he can see in the field. Again, possibly big Njoku Day again, but Quinshon Judkins can definitely find a chance here to break out. I like the Browns' upside, along with their defense complementing the possible offensive surprise, I could call it. So, line is real. The spread is real, like tight right now. That's why I like this pick over, favoring Miami. I do think that the Browns could definitely beat this by at least a field goal.
I love this matchup
I
for Judkins. You can go, Nick. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I was gonna elaborate on that, but I also think this game is just gonna be two on the offensive side trying to figure out this Browns defense, trying to work against this Brown defense, and then Dylan Gabriel trying to maintain an offense, trying to actually facilitate an offense. I think that's really what this game's gonna be about, not necessarily offense versus well, it's Miami side offense versus defense, and Browns is just literally gonna be Dylan Gabriel versus himself. I think this is the game. If this is the ideal situation for Cleveland to go in, they're at home, finally favored. I mean, this is their chance to really capitalize on a team that's lacking in every defensive category. They're really bad defensively if you take a look at their numbers. But I am rolling with the Dolphins.
I was gonna
Only
say thanks for backing me up.
only just only because I do think that they will have a little bit of an understanding of how to counteract this Browns defense. I mean, they're really, really good, but I don't know. I don't have faith. I just don't
You can't have faith in either of these two teams. It's
I
it's
don't.
really
I don't, but Miami still looked pretty decent against LA. I mean, the Tua late pick, it was a rough throw. But I mean, overall, I still think that their offense is going to be able to at least come up with if they do lose, I think it'll be close. I think it's going to be a shitter game either way. It's why it's the poopy game of the week. But I'm just
my
going to
model
I'm
has this
rolling with
projected
Miami. I just
score 23-20, which is
Uh,
interesting because the line is 41.5. But something real quick to mention, currently as of today, recently now, Myles Garrett currently questionable with an elbow injury. So is Jerry Jeudy with a knee injury. They were both, I believe, just limited for what it's worth. Darren Waller was also limited with a hip injury. Obviously, three major keys in both of those teams. So
didn't Miles Garrett also come out and say that he's frustrated that they're losing because of the offense?
I mean, duh.
Literally, they have no offense. Yeah,
I mean,
like
who? I mean,
you got your star player calling out the fucking offense, and you like I'm not gonna take them to win. I'm not gonna take them to cover by 3. No.
Not only that, but the Browns have not covered a spread in which they were favored since December, almost, it was December 28th of 2023. That was the
Dude.
last time they've covered as favorites.
Yeah,
Dylan Gabriel's
nice
parents
pick,
get to
guys.
watch his first start in Cleveland. So this is a different year.
As a favorite,
6
As a
teams.
favorite.
as a
It
favorite.
might be a spoiler for the rest of my picks. Not really, but like, 6 teams so far this year are 1-5 against the spread. Granted, there are a lot of bad teams this year. Jets 0-6 against the spread. That sucks. But this is the only matchup where this week where we're seeing 2 of those 1-5s meet up against each other. And for me, I am not going to bet on Dylan Gabriel. And if you just, as dumb as it sounds, as you brought up with the Chargers, the Dolphins have at least looked like they can win a football game. And I don't think we've really seen that from Cleveland. Maybe you saw it against the Vikings a little bit. But the only thing that I do like for Cleveland here is that, yeah, I think regardless, like Quinshon Judkins is gonna have a field day. The Miami Dolphins, that D line, like they're 32nd against the run. We saw Rico Dowdle go out there and drop 200. Kamani Vidal had a great game against them last week. So I think anytime you have a running back facing the Dolphins, kind of like how I said about the Cowboys defense, I think it's a must start. But with that being said, roll Dolphins.
Roll Dolphins, baby.
Nah.
You're saying that I intro everything. Why don't you intro this next one?
Let me get a breather.
Me?
Yeah, why not?
All right. Well, we have the Saints traveling down to Chi-Town, taking on the Bears. Bears coming off a big win against the Commanders. They call it the revenge Hail Mary game, as they were hyping this game up. Very close game. Very stupid way the game ended by Jaden Daniels fumbling
I'm all
the
for it,
handoff.
man. I love
Very
it.
tough. Line for this game, Bears -5.5. Very interesting. Very interesting game going into it.
Why is
Some
it
notes I
interesting? Why is 5.5 interesting? Do you think it's too much, too little?
have. I do think it's a little too much. I think it's a little too much. I think it's a heavy favorite because they're at home. Saints have looked terrible. Coming off a tough loss to the Patriots. I mean, offensively, they haven't really looked great. Alvin Kamara's clearly not. I wouldn't necessarily say showing regression, but it's just like the explosiveness hasn't necessarily been there. That has been. Granted, he's at a terrible offense with Spencer Rattler as your quarterback, but I mean, I also just think it's just because of the lack of talent that the Saints have. Bears defensive coordinator Dennis Allen was actually the coach of the Saints too last season. So going into that, it's interesting. Gives the Bears an advantage. Um, the Bears next 3 weeks, so including this week and then the next two, have a combined 4 total wins on the season. So I mean, the Bears have the opportunity to actually make a good run here. I mean, I took them personally. I mean, Caleb Williams, fantasy wise, he's looked great. I mean, being able to, he's been obviously rushing the ball, but I
We're
mean,
all Bears here.
I know, yeah, we're all Bears here. I know DJ Moore's questionable, right? He's injured. I'm
He's
pretty sure.
been very average to below average all year long.
Well, he had a crazy injury after the game. I don't know if you guys know about that.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I was about
it
to
was
ask.
he went to the hospital, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for a
Yeah, actually, I
he
didn't see
didn't
what
fly
it was,
back with the
but
team for a groin injury. And I don't think this is your normal groin injury if you're picking up what I'm putting down.
well,
Look,
was there any like official like report of
pause.
what happened, or are we just under like he groined himself?
I
I
just
Because
did he
I
just hurt
also
the
saw he
wiener?
was rushed to the hospital.
yeah, I think I mean I don't want to be caught in the source with it, but I hope the baby maker's okay. Because again, I don't precautionary medical attention at a nearby hospital for a groin injury. That's
Too
bad.
much
Speculation is
Viagra.
wild, man.
That's bad.
Yeah. Gas station pill gone wrong, maybe.
That's, all right.
Okay.
Let's be honest. He's not. He's better than gas station. Like like maybe he's on like Blue Chew or some shit. All right.
I'm just saying, it's a good assumption.
Gas station pill gone wrong.
Yeah, really hard fought win for the Bears.
Oh my gosh.
I
like that.
But Saints 1-8 on the road in their last 9, 3-6 against the spread in those games. I think they are tied for the second lowest win total for the year, 4.5. They do have some matchups later this year: Panthers twice, Dolphins and Titans that I think are going to be a little bit more winnable. But we're all on the Bears here. My question to you is, if this line is 7.5, do we lean Saints?
No,
At what point would
No,
you take the
I'm
Saints?
comfortable.
What point spread?
Oh,
probably 9.5.
yeah, I was gonna say I was also about to say 9.5.
Okay.
Because that's just like, yeah, that's when you cross that threshold of like, oh, that's a little high for a team like this. I don't know.
Yeah, like I could see a touchdown. I could see like at least -6.5.
Okay,
If it bumped to
7.5 would make me
-6.5 before 7.5, yeah,
Kind of like last week when I
maybe.
said with the Cardinals. If only. If only.
Yeah, well, fuck you.
Well, enjoy your Thunder on opening because I'm taking that shit back unless Brooklyn's got
All right.
anything else on the Bears.
No, let's keep going.
But my pick of the week. I'm doubling down here. Brooklyn hates the Chargers. I love the Patriots. Patriots last week gave me that win against the Saints, and I personally, I don't want to say this is a spoiler for the future, but my pick of the week might just be against the Titans for the rest of the season until they prove me wrong.
Like -7. This is a Pats team that went on the road to win against Buffalo. Again, closer than you would have wanted against the Saints last week. But everything in New England's only trending up. Titans also this week fired their head coach. And so, throwing, granted, he's been in the system, but an interim head coach just jumping in on their debut in the middle of the season. No Calvin Ridley, I think, this week too. So
Yep.
there's not much there. Mike Vrabel coming back to Tennessee. I think, there's, granted he's doing fine now, but I don't know, man. If I'm a head coach and I'm facing my old job, like I want to beat the shit out of him. I think that's kind of fair. As that's a very nice analytical stat to talk about the Patriots for.
Oh yeah.
But I think one of the notes that I put for this game wasn't even really talking about New England, but it was being like, do you have anything that you could support Tennessee with?
Tony Pollard,
Might be hurt.
Tajay Spears.
Just came back
What's
from
going on
being
with
hurt.
Ridley?
Yes.
Where's Ridley at?
He is dealing with injuries, I believe, this week.
I think they have upside with Aomeyer.
Yeah, I think I put him in like a desperation start this week for fantasy. I know there's a decent amount of buys. It's one of the, like, I started him a couple times this season, but having to force yourself to watch some Titans football, man,
It's rough, bro.
that's
Yeah, why would you
something.
want to do
Really tough.
That should be a
What would you
fantasy
rather,
game.
Titans or watch a full Titans game or watch a full Jets game?
Oh.
I would.
I'm just wondering.
I think they play each other this year, so we'll find out.
It's gonna have like the low. It's gonna have like the lowest streams on it.
They should take that game just off of Red Zone. Like, can
Oh
we
my
like
gosh.
have a fan vote?
It might be taken off because they might not see the red zone. Like that might
No,
just
they
naturally
won't.
happen.
No weather increments about it. Like no snow, no rain, nothing. It's gonna be bright and sunny outside, and we're gonna have a final score of 3-0.
I think
Tennessee.
if I have the choice between watching the Titans offense or the Jets offense, I might choose to stare at my remote. Maybe like I might like be inspired to clean around my TV.
I would just watch the TV off.
Around the TV.
Yeah.
Like take some
I would just watch a blank screen.
I will.
I would
watch that
read. I would
DVD
read a
thing
book.
from corner to corner until it's all four before I watch an entire Jets Titans game.
As a genuine
I would
answer,
read a
though-
book.
Oh, they don't play each other this year. But we do get Titans Browns, Titans Saints.
Oh,
But
Titans, Browns, Titans, Saints.
yes.
I think we just found our 2 hoop games of the week
guaranteed.
right there.
I think it would, in a funny sense though, I would probably watch the Titans over the Jets because the Titans, even though Will Levis isn't there, man, like last year we got all the Will Levis clips.
Oh my God, where is
Yeah.
Levis right now?
Eating mayo in his coffee because he's out the whole season with an injury.
Yeah, he got hurt.
That's also gotta be like that's gotta be why he got injured. Like who does that?
The
I don't
Titans,
know.
the Titans, you just see some shit every week that, like, I mean, granted, I don't want to talk more about that Titans Cardinals game, but even last week we talked about Cam Ward thinking the ball's a little too slippery to throw. Like you're gonna like the Jets just like are like a painful watch. It's like almost like water torture where like the water's like just falling right next to your eye. Like you don't want to watch it. You just have Breece Hall in fantasy. The Titans is like a little like blooper reel. You're gonna see the like, you got all like the funny animations that go on behind it that are just goofy shit. Like, what is going on in that locker
Yeah.
room? It's terrible. We spent more time talking about the Titans than I thought, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. It was just a genuine question I
And
had.
for that reason, Pat's -7.
Yeah, it's
For
-7.
everything we just said, Pat's -7.
It's destroying the Titans, and that's the only thing we needed is to know that the
Next
Pats
game,
are
though.
just destroy the Titans. Yes.
Brooklyn's got a score to settle.
Brooklyn, if you could look, I'm not
Brooklyn's
saying any
pissed off.
person on the Chargers, but say like the Los Angeles Charger is just a person, and you had an unfiltered like fire, podcast, relating, be nice here, but what would you say to the Chargers? Would you just like slap them? You just yell, spit on the ground?
I'd slap him around a little bit. Um, give him the fist of truth. Um, all in all, let me just get straight to the pick because God knows what I would actually say to Mr. Charger. But we're gonna go straight into it. So Chargers right now they are set to play the Colts in SoFi, and I am fading the Chargers. However, that spread right now I believe is -1.5 still in favor for Los Angeles. I'm gonna go with the Colts, but not spread. I kind of like more value right now with the Colts money line. That is currently at +100. I believe actually when I took it, as in I have already placed my bet on this. I took it at +110, so shocker, big change. But +110 right there. I like the value over that narrow of a spread. I am looking at the Colts right now as obviously they are a 5-1 team, carrying a lot of momentum, a lot of production, and consistency overall. They right now probably should view this game as a big prove it. Their last 3 wins have come against flukes or not flukes, just trash bags of Arizona, Tennessee, and Vegas. But you look at Jonathan Taylor; he's been amazing. First in rushing yards right now, and touchdowns just as a running back. Opinion about this line, it could definitely change in the coming days. And this is real quick. What I wanted to say my whole, I guess, basis for this pick is going to be about is going to be a lot about the injury report. If you look at the Chargers O line, that has got to be one of the worst O lines in the league. Right now, Joe Alt is still injured, not set to come back, especially this week. They might, they're eyeing Khalil Mack as a possibility, but even then, people are that's a real coin flip. Now, the one thing that is going to be, testing Indianapolis right now is obviously we saw Jacoby Brissett carved them up. They are currently missing their top 2 cornerbacks, and without that, their secondary has been pretty weak. So they, in no means, do they have some shutdown defense going against one of the better. When I say better, I mean stronger and much more pass-heavy teams in the league. McConkey started to get going a little bit last week. The Quentin Johnston's coming back right now. But if you look at the Colts, they showed. If you look at the Chargers, they showed a ton of holes against Miami. The Colts offense has been so incredibly productive. And speaking of which, Daniel Jones has only gotten sacked 5 times. He's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. I forget where he stands among other quarterbacks. I believe he's in literally the bottom 40. And that's including guys who are literally backups and may have gotten a couple snaps. Colts lead top 3 in many offensive categories right now. Starting off with yards per play. Right around 6.3 yards per play. That is second in the league. EPA is plus 0.173. That is, they lead the league in that category for EPA. Third down conversion percentage, 47%, second best in the league. Scoring drive percentage, right around 62.5. That is incredibly high. Absolutely crushing the rest of the league in that category. And the only loss for Indiana Jones right there has been at SoFi earlier this year. But right now they have a big get-back game against right now a Chargers team that really needs to make a statement in terms of their defense doing anything. It's all, again, to me, going to come down to that injury report that's going to come out later on, whether or not those cornerbacks, Ward and forget his name, are going to come back come game time. I know one of them's dealing with a concussion, but right now with Joe Alt not coming back, that Chargers O-line is still as vulnerable as ever. Khalil Mack, really, is he going to be the deciding factor in this? I just believe Colts have a good chance here to steal a win away and also taking that line at plus 100 value. There's my pick there.
Hell yeah! What a round of applause
like
there,
it, man.
Round of
Sorry, was dealing with something on my screen. So I was kind of got a little choked up there for a minute, but
Nah, it's okay.
you came,
It's okay, it happens.
that was a passionate amount of homework you did because of how much you despise what the Chargers have done to you.
Man,
I hope the Colts do you better than they did me, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Who'd you take, Nick?
For my pick this week
In this game,
or last week, I took Colts actually too.
kind of same rationale there. I mean, it's funny because I took the Chargers, and analytically, everything says Colts. This is one that you can almost point to again with the Cleveland line, and you're saying why are they favored? But you do a deep dive, and I think the thing that's going to come down to this game is going to be the 2 QBs. on paper, Daniel Jones and Justin Herbert are kind of middle of the pack when it comes to most things on like when you're talking about effective pass plays, average depth per target, little things like this. And when you look at the situations around them, I mean, the last 2 weeks we've seen a Chargers O line that's been kind of just like a welcome mat. Everyone's just walking all over, giving Herbert no time. We saw no QJ last week, and that definitely hurt the explosiveness of the offense a little bit. But with all that being said, I think this is, we saw a Chargers team in the first 2 weeks that was incredibly dominant, and I know they're a little banged up. If Khalil Mack comes back, I think this really does change things for him. But I'm gonna ride with the home favorites here, solely off of I think that Herbert's if in a script where Jonathan Taylor can't really establish the run too much, essentially force Daniel Jones to throw. I think that's where the secondary for the Chargers can kind of make up some of that ground, and I think week in and week out we see Justin Herbert make some insane throw. So it's kind of dumb to go against the Colts here. They didn't cover last week against Brissett. So we saw that like necessarily, for a team that wasn't really able to establish the run, they were able to sling it through the air. And with Marv, going out early with a concussion for the Cardinals last week, they still were able to, keep that game close. So I think there are holes. You talk about the secondary for the Colts that was a little banged up last week. And I think that, that's going to be outside of the two QBs going to be the big thing that I'm going to be looking at.
Right,
But
and then like I said, that I like the Colts pick here specifically, especially money line because the value that I can get it at right now. Thinking that this is probably a Colts team, especially with the spread this thin, is where I like to just lean money line, especially if the underdog is well, obviously not favored, but but it's going to come down to the injury report when that comes out. Right now, you got Kenny Moore. That's who that was. Cornerback coming back or nursing an Achilles injury along with Travarius Ward, who's going to hope to try to clear concussion protocol. Something to monitor as well as Josh Downs is going to also have to clear concussion protocol come game time. But for now, even on the Chargers side, again, that offensive line has been so terrible. Derwin James is also currently questionable as well with a wrist injury, but keep an eye on that injury report. But even then, I do like the Colts to possibly come in and steal a win there. So that's why I'm leaning Colts money line over spread. Value pick.
it's like one of those that like I kind of compare it to, and granted we all took it last week, but like Detroit, you look at like the season schedule and you think Detroit realistically could have walked into KC and taken that so easily. And they were underdogs, so that's kind of the rationale that I have.
Fair enough.
Take the floor here, Nick.
All right.
I see a lot of notes here.
Yes, I did a lot of notes, but I'm not gonna actually read it word for word. My pick of the week.
Oh, like I did.
No, not every word. There were some funny notes in there you missed that might have
going
distracted
with-
you while you were talking.
Yeah, we're going with Carolina. We're fading the Jets. Don't
Roll
think the Jets
Cats.
are gonna win a game. This is not the week that the Jets are gonna get a win. I think Panthers have looked good the last 2 weeks. Their line is at -1.5. I think that's really good. I think it's very low just because they're playing at MetLife, but Jets are underdogs at home. +1.5. I think their money line's like +105, which you can get the Colts money line for a better value than you can for the Jets money line, which is weird. Interesting. Only 5, but still very interesting. Some of the notes I had, we were talking about the Panthers. I mean, when you look at the Panthers the last 2 weeks, their run offense, like Rico Dowdle's been fucking insane. 200 yards on the ground 2 weeks in a row is pretty insane. But I mean, obviously, I think Chuba's also coming back this week, so I could be mistaken. Don't fact check me if
I
I'm
think
wrong.
It's gonna be real interesting to see that
I
backfield now,
know,
though.
I know he did practice this week. I think they're gonna try to do what they do in Detroit. I don't think that they're gonna just, you know, disregard all the carries from Dowdle and just give them back to Chuba. I mean, Dowdle's clearly showed that he can be very, very important in this offense.
And
So I
even
think they're
last
still
year
gonna
when he
try
was
to.
on Dallas, he kind of had a similar type of performance. Like he was carrying a decent workload for them.
Yeah.
And I believe they said like even on the broadcast they're talking about going to Carolina and Dallas was like we were trying to sign him back. It was some contract issue stuff and that fell through. But that Dallas didn't want to let go of him
Yeah.
because he had that upside. But yeah,
How
Yeah,
much do you
so
take into
I'm going-
account that the last 2 weeks Dowdle played the 32nd and 30th ranked defenses against the run?
You know, very
bet.
much into effect. But
Jets are
that's
20.
why,
Jets aren't too far down on you. They're 24th.
yeah, Jets aren't necessarily great either. But 3 weeks of consistency from Rico Dowdle, it'll start to turn some heads, especially in the Carolina backfield. Panthers defensively, though, I mean, obviously big injury story going into this game. Garrett Wilson, hamstring injury. He's gonna miss a few weeks. This will be the first week that he's missing. Panthers have a really good run defense. Their last 4 opponents, they've only let up an average of 73 rushing yards per game and almost less than 3 yards a carry, 3.4 to be exact. Jets offense relies on the run because that's all that they can fucking do. They can't pass the ball.
And Garrett
They
Wilson.
average
Josh
135
Reynolds going to
rushing
be
yards per
listening to this
game.
episode in his warm up.
Yep,
Just so you know.
135 rushing yards per game, 5th highest in the league. That's not even all from Brees Hall. That's all from Justin Fields too, just trying to escape the pocket because he has no fucking protection. They're 32nd in the league in passing yards, average 144 a game.
It's so bad.
I mean,
it's so bad.
yeah. I mean, looking at this game, you really want to try to give Carolina a lot of credit, but the Jets just fucking suck.
It seems like a trap, man.
Statistically.
I don't know.
I know it seems like a trap, but honestly, too, I did have Bryce Young. The last 2 wins that Carolina's had, he's looked pretty good. He actually hasn't looked that bad. I mean, he's found a good connection with Tetrill and McMillan. 2 touchdowns last week. I know now this week he's got to go up against fucking Sauce Gardner. Gardner.
God, no.
It'll really be a good first test for Tet. But I still think this is really bad secondary. I think Bryce Young is kind of on a heater right now. He led a really good game-winning drive against Miami. So I'm taking the Panthers, man. I'm taking Carolina. I think they'll go 4-3, above 500. Give Bryce some confidence going up against 3 bad defenses. I think they need it.
If Garrett Wilson was completely cleared for this game and was going to play, I honestly think I would have taken the Jets.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But that and then going back to the stat of you know what, they're 0-6. They look good against the Bucks. Had some things go their way, but you watch Justin Fields, and I think it's I don't know the exact number, but I'm pretty sure Garrett Wilson has somewhere around a 45% target share. The offense is very much look at him, and Justin Fields has not done a good job at really reading the field. He's I think top 5 in time time in the pocket before a throw, which you might be like, oh wow, that's pretty impressive. He's got a decent amount of time to look back there, but 9 sacks last week. Really struggled to get the ball out. He hasn't thrown a pick yet this year, but it's almost one of those things where you watch the game last week and it's you kind of want to see your QB at least take a shot. It's hi, I'd rather have a QB that has a couple picks on the year rather than a QB that's top 3 in sacks taken. So
144 passing yards a game. It's no pick, but you're not fucking throwing the ball.
Yeah. You
have 10 more passing than you do rushing.
You hate the Jets, man. I
do. The Jets suck. They're bad. They're a bad football team.
But yeah, I'm saying that point because I think you've dropped more F-bombs talking about the Jets than you have in the last 3 episodes combined. Someone's animated.
It's my inner New England coming out.
That's if anything, I make him a pick of the week. I've stayed away since. I'm keeping, they almost brought me back in with this one. Almost reeled me back in, but no Garrett Wilson, no me.
It's been a bad few weeks for the Jets. Haven't won a game. Mark Sanchez. It's been fucking tough.
Mark Sanchez.
That's crazy.
It's been tough, dude.
We talked about DJ Moore's junk and Mark Sanchez messing up a delivery driver in a week of football. Yeah, the Jets found a way to lose off the field still. Mark Sanchez, by the way, the most recent playoff win for the New York Jets. Longest playoff.
Do you think that's more embarrassing than the butt fumble, or is the butt fumble worse?
I think his current situation is actually worse.
I mean, the butt fumble's funny.
Debatable.
The butt fumble is funny. What Mark Sanchez did last week was just insane. That's just
I know.
bad. Yeah, you have so much money and you're fucking dumb. It's so ridiculous. But I say always transitioning so well.
But
ridiculous.
going Carolina.
Yeah, roll Carolina. Eagles at the Vikings, Eagles -1.5. We all took it. And
Mhm.
this isn't, I feel like each week on this podcast, we've talked about the Eagles just like failing to perform on offense, continuing to struggle. Um, but one thing that I found that I don't know where I put it in here specifically. Um, but
Real
oh yeah,
quick,
here
while
it
you're
is.
looking for it. Oh, no, you're good.
After a bye week or talking about last season, against the spread after a bye, um, the total is like I think they cover about like 40% of the time. At home last year was 5-9. And I think we're getting JJ McCarthy this week. So
Yes.
there's some question marks on the Minnesota offense. The defense has been so good. Defense has also been so good against the pass, which has been the Eagles' biggest strength or biggest weakness, excuse me. But at the same time, the Vikings have actually been not too great against the run. So I think this could be a game script where Saquon, gets the Eagles back in the direction that they need to go. But it's a really close line, and a lot of me wanted to take Minnesota, but I think this Philly team is going to bounce back.
Yeah. No, I agree. I was kind of in the same boat as you. It's really close, and I do like Minnesota here, especially being at home. But yeah, I think this is a
It's
must win for Philly, just locker room chemistry standpoint, and
You say
like
that they're 4-2, like the way the
But
media is
I,
playing it. You think the
the
Giants
way
are going
the
they've
to
had
beat
beat,
some
them?
rough.
I
They've had some
understand that.
real rough losses, and like last week is just one of them.
And it's also been like, yeah, they get wins, but especially like just the star players aren't necessarily being put in the situations to help capitalize, aka AJ Brown.
Yeah,
I don't know.
they
It's
need to get
if
him
you
going.
get another, you get another tough loss, and he's coming out with 3, 4 targets. Like eventually, there's gonna be an issue. Eventually, like it's
Um,
not gonna.
the Eagles D line's been pretty banged up. Jalen Carter should be back. Probably my favorite thing to happen in the NFL happened this last week with Zadarius Smith retiring in the middle of the season. Like I never like we saw some funny ones with like Amari Cooper. He's like rejoins the Raiders in the offseason and he's there for like 2 weeks. Oh shit, man. This routine you guys built's kind of tough. Maybe he's looking at the Geno and he's like, shit, this guy is not it. But
Who's the Bills player that retired at halftime?
it was a cornerback.
Oh,
I'm blanking on the name, but yeah, just hanging up the cleats. That's even crazier. But
Yes,
like the Eagles 4-2, Zadarius Smith should be like, you know what, guys, I think I've had enough. Like that,
I'm done.
that always gets me.
Uh,
But yeah, not too much there. If the Eagles, I think this is going to be like a Saquon revenge. There, I say revenge, but like Saquon should dominate in some capacity, and this could be an interesting game for McCarthy if he comes, seeing what he's going to look like after so many weeks out. But not too
yeah.
much there unless anybody else
I,
has
I
any
think I
notes.
think you look at just this Eagles team. This is just supporting our own pick, but you look at the Eagles team, the talent that they have, of which you saw what they did with it all last year, and even this year, yeah, like you said, they are 4-2. It's just been a rough stretch. That Eagles offensive, power that they have is enough to think that the spread this thin, they could definitely pull the release, at
We
least
talk about
cover
good
that.
values. I mean, Eagles
Right.
-1.5. I mean, how many times you can
Yeah.
see that?
Exactly. But shout out Nick, pointing out that Saquon Barkley's no longer on the Giants. He actually
mhm.
plays for the team last week, and I found that out for the first time. And
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then
scat.
Scataboobs had 3 touchdowns.
Crayon
Oh
eater.
my gosh. Well,
Very, very random. All right, let's not act like
what?
let's not act like that guy doesn't see a box of Crayola and start licking his lips. All right, like come on.
I've just never heard that
Like,
before.
did you see like I think I don't know if I mentioned this last week. I might have, but his mom, like every time you hear something about Scatabo, and this is good transition because we're about to talk about Giants Broncos. But every time you talk about Scatabo, all the locker room comments are just like something crazy. The dude's weird. He's just crazy. His mom
I
said
mean, the
that.
video of him in college just bashing his head into a brick wall before a game. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he's got a favorite flavor of crayon for sure. His mom came out and said that like as a kid he used to take his brother's football pads and run into the telephone pole. Like, come on, like come on.
Yeah. He's
um,
iconic brother.
But he's been good. Unlike Saquon, he has a 3 touchdown game in his career. Saquon's had over 90 games, never had that happen, and it happened against him.
Did you guys know that Jackson Dart had more carries than Saquon last
Yeah, he
week?
only had like 6 carries last week.
So Saquon had 12, but
Or
Insane.
excuse me,
Dart
the
had
game
13.
week before.
Yeah, well, that was an ugly game against the Broncos, but yeah.
Giants at Broncos, Denver -7.5. The lowest over under on the week. This is at 39.5. And this was I talked about another one that I was really on the fence about. I really wanted to lean Giants here. But I think Dart's like I talked about a good defense. Like Philly's defense was banged up last week. This Denver defense is ferocious. We talk
I
about
don't think
Cleveland.
he's not proven enough to possibly really lean towards New York
And
against something this hard.
yeah, I think the defense is just so well rounded that it's really going to be, I think, a struggle for the Giants. I think we're going to see Dart really not be able to, like, you might see him scramble to really make some moves happen, but I don't think he's going to be necessarily great through the air. I'm doubling down on an Aster class. Maybe I was 1 week early. But we do have Nick here taking the Giants, and I want to hear about it.
I'm leaning towards the Giants only, and the reason why is, first of all, the total of this game, 39.5, pretty low. Denver didn't look good at all against the Jets last week. I mean, granted, overseas game, take that into effect, whatever. Jets have one of the worst defenses in the league, and they only were able to put up 13 points. I don't necessarily think that the Giants are going to win this game, but I do think the way that the Giants have playing been playing football recently and like really taking their time and just I just think the lack of scoring and the amount of time that's going to be taken, I think that's why the Giants are going to be able to cover. I think they can cover within 7. I think it'll be a close game. And really does depend on if Bo Nix is going to be able to turn it up against this Giants defense, who looked pretty good, honestly, against Philly.
Yeah, the one reason that the reasons I was leaning towards the Giants was when you look back at last week's game for Denver, a lot of the play calls were pretty interesting. Like 3rd and 10, they're running the ball. Like they weren't really like didn't seem like Sean Payton wanted Bo Nix to really throw the ball. So the reason that I like the Giants is I think Denver still comes out on top, but kind of like how they did against the Jets. Like it seemed like Sean Payton really just wanted to manage the win. Like he was playing very conservative through the second half, which I mean the Jets offense didn't show you anything that they really could do anything against the defense. So if anything, I think that this could be a game where like if Denver does get a little bit of a lead, yeah, they play a little bit more safe, and the Giants find a way to cover in that way. But stuck with my gut.
Dude,
One Broncos.
This Broncos team, like the defense is just so crazy. The differentials between like yards per game, yards allowed per game, and sacks, like they lead that category by 10 right now, and that's just like how
They
many
love
did they have
the
against the
sack.
Jets again? They do
9.
9 sacks just against the Jets, and like
It's unreal.
God. Yeah, I can't. That's insane. They have a 300-yard lead over total yards allowed over against the Steelers. Good luck.
Good luck indeed.
Any defense that plays the Jets, though, I mean, like you have an advantage.
Unless you're the Cowboys. I mean,
That's fair. I
well,
mean, yeah. I
they
mean,
put
you
up
let up
points, but
33 points. Never mind. I take that back. Sorry.
transitioning to the 4 o'clock games now. I've got a little bit of an upset
Giants
here.
Broncos was the first 4 o'clock game,
Oh,
actually.
oops, excuse me. Sorry. Yep, it's transferring to
sir,
the
and also, I
4:30
believe,
game.
Well, no. Well, technically, the way that we had it on our notes, the other 4 o'clock game is Brooklyn's pick of the week.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're
It's
not
Colts
entirely in
Chargers.
order right now. We're kind of
yeah.
just
It's not
talking
in
about games
order
as we see them.
because Brooklyn messed up the whole order.
Oh, now you're throwing us on. We're a team here, guys.
I'm
We're all
joking.
together.
I'm joking.
Say you're
I
sorry.
want out.
I apologize.
Think about it.
Packers Cardinals. Packers -6.5. This is the 4th consecutive road game for the Packers. 0-3 against the spread in their last 3. Meanwhile, Arizona, I talked about last week, 3 straight L's off field or game-winning field goals. And then we saw Jacoby Brissett go out and cover against what statistically has been one of the best teams on paper. Kyler may be back. I don't think he is. I think they're gonna let him sit this week and then go into the bye. But we've seen a Packers team that kind of similar to the Broncos, I guess, where they've been winning these games, but not necessarily dominating.
Yeah.
Um, and again, Jacoby Brissett showed some life against the Colts on the road, going back home now. I know the Bam Knights now a little questionable. They're RB5 getting hurt
God,
now.
remember seeing him score the other week? I was like, who?
Yeah.
Literally. Um,
I was on Xbox. I'm like, oh, Bam Knight just scored. Sean's like, who's that? I'm like, right?
I think this
Yeah,
game,
Knight.
this might be my take that might hurt me the most in hindsight. Like the Packers could come out and just dominate against a very beat up Cardinals team. But the Cardinals have been actually pretty decent defensively. Shout out Will Johnson, who's been locked down for them at the cornerback position. But again, they showed some life. Brissett's willing to sling this thing downfield, going to test that secondary for Green Bay. So for me, I'm going to take a little bit of a shot here with the Birds. But why do we like the Cheeseheads?
I like the Cheeseheads mostly because Josh Jacobs, man. Yeah, he had the game that he needed against Cincinnati to kind of get going. I mean, if you looked at his stats beforehand, only like 3 yards carry. The carries were there, but he wasn't necessarily going anywhere with the ball. Kind of just like little yardage. But last week finally 5 yards per carry. Pretty sure he had 2 or 3 rushing touchdowns. Pretty sure it was 3. I forget off the top of my head. So I mean, he's going to be a big factor against this Arizona defense. Packers are 11-1 all time against NFC teams under coach Matt LaFleur, and 4-0 over the Cardinals. So I mean, obviously, Matt LaFleur just hates the NFC West for some unknown reason. Just loves to dominate them. Nico is sneezing. God bless you.
Thank you.
Didn't want to be rude. I like that. I appreciate that. That was nice.
Oh, I'd love to have a
Um,
tissue right now.
but I like Cheeseheads here. personally. Jordan Love's looked pretty good. He's still. Aside from the first drive interception, he looked pretty solid against Cincinnati. I think he's going to be able to do the same thing. I know you were mentioning that Arizona's secondary is really good. But they got some key pieces. Matthew Golden. He's kind of shown that he's versatile. He can kind of be sent out on rushing routes instead. They kind of have him do end arounds. He's been pretty successful with that. So I like the Cheeseheads here. I think they can cover by 7. I think it's not an insane line. I think if it was any of these other games that it was a heavy favorite, kind of like 8.5, 7.5, that's where I start to question. But I think a touchdown's pretty comfortable for them.
Yeah, similarly, I feel comfortable with at least where the spread's at right now, especially in favor for the Packers. Especially because like the Cardinals are statistically wise like a bottom tier pass defense team. Yeah, Jordan Love's been pretty solid overall. Just throughout the bulk of the season here, and also against the rush, the Cardinals are also just a very mid tier rushing defense. Josh Jacobs, yeah, just he's been having some pretty good weeks recently. Last game was well, for my fantasy team purposes, very big, and already what was a blowout. But in just that respect, Packers have been very consistent in the past. Also, if Jacobs can just keep that momentum moving into this game against just a Cardinals defense overall that statistically has let up decent amount of yards in both categories, I think it's a pretty comfortable win for Green Bay.
Very nice.
I also really quickly just want to say that I do think -6.5 compared to them being favored by almost 15 points against, I want to say, like, on paper, probably a better roster of Cincinnati than
Whoa.
this Gardner. Like
Whoa.
going into this week, like Cardinals with all the injuries, like they have 5 fucking running backs that are hurt right now. Kyler might not play. Marv's
Brissett
dealing with
doubles down on that
Marvin
performance,
Harrison's
really.
dealing with a concussion. I'm
Right.
just saying, like, going into this game, them only being favored by 7, it's just interesting compared to last week, them being favored at 15 points. I know they were home. I know, but that's all. That's just interesting to me.
So
Just
like
going
right
into
now
the
they're
season narratively. I'm not saying like I obviously Cincinnati has a better roster, but I'm just saying I don't.
so
I
if
just
we're
thought
looking
it's
at the
just weird.
Cardinals right now, it's what Trey McBride, and if Marv's out, it's Bam Knight and Michael Wilson.
Bam Knight's hurt.
and yeah, Bam Knight. So there would be Michael Carter and Michael Wilson, and then maybe Zay Jones.
Yeah.
But they made it
Like
work last week.
where's their closest thing to
I
Jamar?
know they
That's what I'm
made it
saying.
work last week, but I'm just saying from the
Their closest
sportsbook
thing to a
aspect.
Jamar is Trey, or not
Yeah,
Trey McBride, yeah, and it's not
they're
Jamar.
just I'm just saying from a sportsbook aspect, like them being favored by
I'm
almost
here. I'm
15
with Nick on
points
this.
against a Bengals team that has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Like their offense was healthy. And then I get their defense sucks and I get the Packers are at home, but like this Cardinals team is like they're really hurting right now. So
I think there was just a lot of unknown with Flacco coming in to that offense, and like granted, like you pretty much have your weapons like offensively set up there with Jamar, but like there's that game just seems so unpredictable as if Flacco was going to catch on and actually produce. But yeah, I'm also with you. I am a little bit surprised at how low the spread is for
yeah,
the
that's
Packers.
true. I mean, there is also the uncertainty of you had a brand new quarterback that you just traded the week of,
And if he was going to
throwing
survive
him
and
in a
make the
brand new
first.
offense with a game plan. Like, no, I get it, but same thing. I
But
mean,
I think that's kind of why the spread might have been so inflated on that Green Bay game. But again, I'm still with you here. I still I'm kind of shocked at how low it is going against a
yeah,
beat up Cardinals
Nico.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, flip me off with
Oh,
your broken
look at the
finger,
figure! Look at the figure!
like he's driving. Again, in desperate need of a Kleenex. So I'm gonna actually step away for a quick moment. But before I do, I know it works out well because the both of you have different picks when it comes to Commanders at Cowboys. With the Commanders -1.5, highest projected
Hmm.
over under of the week. So with that being said, I'm gonna turn the camera off real quick and I'm gonna let you guys cook. But I'll be back.
All right. All right.
You wanna
Well,
lead us into it or
yeah, because I have Washington, actually. I have
fair
the
enough?
Commanders going into this game. Highest total of the week at 54.5, which is insane. But it
Yeah,
also just
that's
goes to show you how bad this Dallas defense really is.
right.
Cowboys are 4-6 against the spreads as underdog at 4-6 against the spread as underdogs at home since 2022. I do think this is just because they just came off of a tough loss to the Panthers. It was only by 3. I mean, CD's coming back this week. I'm pretty sure.
I believe so.
I know there's been reports, so I do see this line changing. I do see by Sunday Cowboys being favored, especially since they're at home in Dallas. But I still like the Commanders here. I mean, again, that doesn't take aside from how bad this Dallas defense is, and Jane Daniels has shown again and again that he's can dice up defenses. I know it was an ugly look last week against the Bears, but I don't think that happens twice. I do like them covering if the Cowboys do favor. I still think it's gonna be a close line at like 1.5 too. I like the Commanders covering that. I mean, Terry McLaurin's practicing. He's back. Debo has looked amazing for them. He's really taken a step up. He's kind of utilized his talent and shown like that he's still a valuable asset. Even when they were mismanaging him in San Fran. Um, Bill fumble issues, but I mean, again, against this really bad defense, I still think he'll be able to shine. So I like commies, but again, though, I can see the Cowboys once it gets closer to Sunday, just by with more reports coming out about CD and all that stuff. I can see the lines changing.
Well, as of right now, Debo is currently questionable with a heel injury. I think Terry is set to. I'm not sure if he practiced today or not, but he's looking like he's trending upwards for that. I took that Cowboys +1.5 on another very thin spread here. Um, a large part because the Commanders, if you look at them, they're also like a bottom 10 pass defense in the league. Going against a Cowboys team now that like obviously has been just having to go into these shootouts every single game. But again, they get CD back this week, and yes, it is likely going to flip a line a little bit and cause things to change in some way. But yes, the defense has been horrendous, Cowboys. But going against a Washington team now, like that, not equally, but isn't great against the pass either, and against an offense that is extremely pass heavy. And even Javante Williams has obviously resurrected his career in Dallas right now. I like this line solely as a chance for Dallas to probably make an upset here, especially now with CD coming back. I do think it's just gonna be another one of those shootouts. God, if you look at the recent like Dallas games, like those final scores are high. Like they are all right or close to 60 points each. Like of course that tie against Green Bay, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be another shootout, and I kind of just like Dallas's firepower a little bit more, especially if Debo might be out this upcoming. So I think Dallas had with CD back, Pickens has been playing great, Williams has been good, and Dak really hasn't been bad at all. Um, Good upside there for them to come in and steal one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add too much to that. But I will just say, kind of just agreeing exactly what you said. Uh, Terry McLaurin came back, little limited. Debo, a little banged up. Zach Ertz, he didn't practice this week. So you're gonna see a Commanders offense that is gonna be relying on like like the Luke McCaffreys. Which if there's any week to do it, I mean, again, we've been praising this Cowboys defense for all the wrong reasons. But that's kind of where I did lean Dallas as well. I originally had Washington. I flipped to Dallas.
Yeah, I was
Um,
just gonna say, when the fuck did you change your mind? It's so
right,
good.
maybe 5 minutes before we started recording.
Oh, okay.
Oh, when he went to get the Kleenex.
Right. right.
I just heard all the blowing my nose, hearing Brooklyn talk. It just inspired me. Yeah, absolutely no, not it will. That tissue did help. Don't get me wrong. Maybe cleared my head a little bit. But yeah, no, I think if it's a shootout, I think Dallas can take it. And also, I mean, I don't try to favor too much on home versus away, but again, in a shootout where you're going to be home, I would lean Dallas here.
Hell yeah.
And
Well, roll commies, man. Whatever. I'll stick with my pick. I'm not gonna change it 5 minutes before. I'm not gonna change it now. Fuck that. We're rolling with
I
Jaden
made
here,
I made a
man.
couple changes right
respect
before.
it.
Like I flipped to Arizona, which could be my worst beat of the week, but I'm rolling there. Now a funny thing to mention as well, talking about now entering prime. Well, granted that was I believe the Sunday night game we were just talking about. I know the sheets are
Yes,
all
it
over.
was.
Um,
Yes.
Apologize
Cowboys
for
Commanders
the
Sunday Night Football.
poor.
So another reason to root for the dogs, but going against that point.
Right.
Did we also?
2 Monday night games.
I think did we mention the Falcons Niners game?
Oh my
Not
god,
yet.
we didn't.
It's missing here. Well, very
Oh
very
my
quickly.
god, I forgot a game.
All of us took Falcons plus 2.5 with the playing in San Fran. Brock Purdy
Right.
leaning towards playing this week, but still a decent amount of injuries on that offense. I mean, that's kind of been the week so far. Has just been us talking injuries and how they affect it. But Atlanta's defense has just been lights out.
Yeah.
And
They
I
made
know
Josh Allen look silly that whole game. I don't remember his final stat line. I think he only had 12 receptions. Sorry, 12 receptions. 12 completions. And on top of 2 picks. I think Knox was like the only passing touchdown of the game. Yeah, they covered all bases there. So props to them.
I know
It was a
that
big statement win, especially at home, that's for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Penix struggled a little bit on the road to start his career so far. I mean, that game against Minnesota that they won wasn't exactly his prettiest, but he got the job done. But I know last week I talked about Shanahan, how it's very tough for me to like bet against him. Is this a line that I'm actually gonna take in real life? Probably, most definitely not. But when you look at it on paper, just looking through the rosters and such, it does look like it should lean Atlanta, especially with Fred Warner missing the rest of the year. That's kind of your centerpiece on that defense. He's made up a
Yep.
lot of ground for, a slow secondary, D-line that hasn't been as successful without Bosa. So I think you're really going to see that defense really struggle this week. So, I mean, all of us agree that we're rolling birds, but I think the line is closer than it should be. I think Atlanta being favored kind of shocks me. Should have grabbed another tissue.
I agree.
Monday night now. We're jumping into it. Tampa Bay at the Lions. Lions minus 5.5.
Nico, 2 weeks in a row going against Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and last week I really shouldn't have, but
I see why he does. There's some injuries going into this game that could definitely play a major role. I think Mike Evans is making some strides coming back this week.
Yep.
Yeah, he should be. I
So,
mean, it's hard to bet against Tampa. you talk about an offense that's been dominant in the fourth quarter. They've gone out. You saw that shootout against Seattle. You saw them beat. I mean, again, San Fran was a little beat up last week, but still a pretty commanding win. But I think there are a lot of question marks for this Dallas team. The secondary hasn't necessarily, or Dallas, excuse me, Tampa. But the secondary hasn't been what it should be. And you're going to be facing a Lions team that's definitely going to be spreading the field. So I kind of lean with just the better team on paper, and it's crazy to say talking against the number one seed in the NFC. But at home, the Lions are a lot healthier compared to the Bucks, and that's a lot of times when you're talking playoffs, a healthier team is going to come out on top. But I have a lot of faith that the Lions are going to bounce back, and in some ways, I think Baker's going to get humbled. As much as I love to, I hate rooting against Baker. But I think this Lions offense is too dynamic for the Bucks defense.
I mean, Bucky Irving is out for another week, but Rashad White's picked up a decent amount of slack in that category. Last week, he definitely wasn't as good as he was against Seattle. But Tez Johnson Baker have a pretty good connection. At least they showed it last week, and he's been kind of steady with his targets. Possible breakout week for him coming up here, but I don't blame you for leaning and going against Tampa Bay this week. But at the same time, Baker's pulled some crazy things off here. And just to cover within a touchdown, I think it's definitely possible for them to keep up, especially if Mike Evans is possibly coming back this week.
But Brooklyn, man, I love Baker this year. Like, I'm almost like clear favorite MVP candidate for early season right now. But like, what he's just been able to do with this Bucks team and how they've been able to go down and win games, especially in the fourth quarter, you just can't count them out. And obviously, this Lions team is very good. But when you play the Lions, you know that Jared Goff's just going to try to throw the ball all over you. So, I mean, it's really, I feel like Todd Bowles is going to have a pretty good game plan going into this game. I mean, I know that they're undermanned. I mean, they know that they're undermanned on offense, so they're probably going to try to utilize some things. We also know that Baker has no problem taking the ball himself out of the pocket. So it's going to be a nitty-gritty game. I think this is definitely going to be a Baker Mayfield put it out on the line game. Um, I do like the Lions, but I'm rolling with the Bucks. I'm rolling with my gut. I'm rolling with Baker.
Not to mention the Bucks have a solid rush defense, and obviously if you're dealing with the duo of Montgomery and Gibbs, if they can possibly contain that, I mean obviously you do have JMO and Amon-Ra, but Kansas City just exposed a lot of flaws in that defense, especially when with the Lions being a little banged up.
And missing Brian Branch.
Right, and if oh my god, if there is someone who is gonna now who's definitely gonna shoot to go straight for those holes in that defense, it is going to be a guy like Baker. So I like the cover.
If the Lions beat the Chiefs last week, and this line is still at 5.5, does that change anything?
Depends on the way that they do it. I feel.
Say they covered last week. I mean, they were dogs. So say they just outright won the game. Say it's a close game. They won by 3.
Close game, but like in the way it was, like, the way the touchdowns were scored, was it
I don't think so.
Kind of just cutting through each other.
Just in general, just take it to just they came out on top against
face value. I think it does change my opinion a little bit. The Lions look pretty damn good. Yeah, I do think it changes a little bit there, but at the same time, like it's just especially now if these injuries are still in play. If they're coming off a win against Kansas City, I definitely think I would then take the Lions, but obviously things are a little different.
I don't think so for me, only because the stat that we just gave it, the primetime stat, it favors Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has been the best team against the spread on the road this season.
Yeah.
So
I know I shouted that last week. So, I don't like going against Baker, but I'm going to trust Dan Campbell in that unit, especially at home. Talking about underdogs covering the spreads, and here we are, final matchup of the week. Houston at Seattle. Hawks favored 3.5. And all of us are on the Hawks. And again, I feel like I made a lot of last-minute adjustments compared to weeks prior. And this was a time where I wanted to take Houston, and I didn't.
the Texans offense we saw for the beginning of the year really struggle. And then they went out and they faced the Texans and a very beat up Ravens team. How does that really favor overall? I don't know. I bring up that stat again, talking about bye weeks and against the spread, especially. I mean, granted on the road, 8-10, but still under 500 there. And again, you take this game at face value. The Seattle defense has been so great, and Sam Darnold and JSN have had such a great connection this year that if there's any bit of, if they can establish the run, even, like for how poor the Seahawks have been at running the ball, if they get a little bit of that going, I think this game really does go in their favor. Again, being at home, it's really tough to go against them here. But I'd say a large portion of me did want to bet on Stroud and that offense kind of clicking. It's kind of similar to what I considered the Jacksonville offense to be, where it's a defense that's really doing a lot for you, and you're hoping that the offense is going to click as these weeks continue. I think this is a pretty big game for the Texans. So if you're just talking about them trying to still take that division, but there wasn't enough for me to sway to go to the Houston here.
Yeah, I want you to kind of think of this game as a strength versus strength. If you look at Seattle's offense, obviously they have been booming, but also, yeah, Houston's defense, pass defense specifically, has been great. And for a team that between the Seahawks now with Darnold's connection and JSN, like again, look at it as strength versus strength. That's really what's going to come down to is like playing just to your strengths right now. And if you look on the other side, Seattle has a pretty decent defense now, and Houston does not have a great offense. Some things started to click, but it hasn't been consistent. If we're looking at a spread like this where you got to cover by a field goal, Seattle's been on a roll. I expect them to continue at least decent offensive production right now against a Houston team that might not be able to keep up.
Yeah,
I agree with Brooklyn there. I'm really all on the Hawks. I love JSN this game. I mean, Sam Darnold though. I mean, give credit where credit's due, from having the year that he had in Minnesota, and then going into Seattle, getting the money, but also showing that like he deserved that contract. It wasn't the system in Minnesota that he had. He's actually been having a really good season.
One thing, I was watching a little bit of their play, and the one thing that the Seahawks, you'd be kind of surprised to know, is a lot of their sets are like 12 personnel. For a team that you see really struggle to like really get some offensive consistency on the ground running wise. But that's part of the reason that they've been so dominant, is it's not necessarily being good at the run, but they're really good at selling out. It's really good at like telling when it is going to be a run. And you've seen the tight ends, Elijah Arroyo and Barner, really take a step up on that offense. And JSN is, a top 5 receiver in the league. I don't know if that's how hot of a take that is. Maybe I'd say guaranteed top 10, but I think there's an argument for top 5. Definitely top 5 this year.
Definitely.
So taking the better player in this case, still got Nico Collins and Stroud on the other side of the ball. I mean, Nico Collins, best name in the league. How can you really go against something like that? I'm sorry, gotta shout it. Do you know how many Nikos there are in sports?
Ew.
There aren't many that you can. I got a quarterback at UCLA.
Dude, Nico Mania.
Hernia.
Nico
Yeah,
Hornier.
Second baseman for the Cubs. I've got a guard overseas.
The greatest Mavericks GM ever.
Yeah. So
God, we're jumping the gun. We'll get into that.
Things don't look good.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of Nico Collins stake, and I don't know how biased that was.
It seems very biased.
Well, he's also a good receiver. But recapping really quickly before we head out. Don't have any start sits this week, but just gonna recap last week. Not too much to talk about, because my start sit of Chase Brown versus Michael Carter, where I recommended Michael Carter over him. Michael Carter finished with 8.4 fantasy points. Chase Brown 8.9, solely off of some crazy dump offs. I know, Nick, your matchup was pretty even as well.
Yeah, I had Daniel Jones and Dak Prescott. Dak finished with 22 points. He had 260, and then he had 2 passing touchdowns. Daniel Jones, he had 23. He had 2 passing touchdowns and an interception, but he had a rushing touchdown. In certain leagues, I know us three are in a league. Passing touchdowns are worth 6. So it depends on what league you're in. I
Definitely a
know
little
Daniel Jones
unorthodox.
had a little more, especially with that rushing touchdown. But regular fantasy though, with touchdowns worth this 4, they were basically 1 point apart. So you could have went with either. Unless you lost by 1 point, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
if you lost by 0.5, send me the screen. I gotta see what
Yeah,
happened.
I'm so sorry.
But Brooklyn, yours was not a close matchup
I think it went
whatsoever.
exactly. I mean, it went exactly as we predicted it. I mean, Garrett Wilson going up against the Broncos was obviously due for a very low ceiling week. The one unpredictable factor to me was going to be Pickens against J.C. Horn in that Panthers defense. I didn't, I thought he was going to might probably have a decent ceiling, but I didn't see him dropping 31.8 to be exact, at least in our league. So that was 31.8 on Pickens' part compared to that's a stinker of 4.3 and an injury for Garrett Wilson. Um, I think we all leaned towards Pickens anyway, and obviously that ended up paying off really well. So
Yeah, not very pretty there. But next week we're gonna come back, obviously talking about week 8, but also in the fantasy world. I think we're gonna shake it up a little bit next week. We're all gonna bring a candidate to the table of like a trade for guy, someone to target if you don't got them already. Maybe a little bit of a buy low type of
It
deal.
is trade season.
It is.
It is trade
We're heading
season.
we're heading to that point of
And,
the year where for fantasy football,
I'm at that point on Twitter where like it's getting to Wednesday injury reports, and then it'll be like for instance, I'm already seeing Chris Olave, and people are like, "Oh, he's getting traded." It's like,
yeah.
no. What if the guy's hurt?
Well, fantasy wise, I think there are some bigger names that could be moved. I mean, we talked about Brees Hall earlier. Olave just got opened up to the trade market. Alvin Kamara has been a name that the Saints said they weren't going to move, but you think after now just making Olave available, I don't think they're necessarily going to hang up the phone on Kamara
they
calls.
also got a
I think
guy like they
if they
got
lose to
Kendrick
the
Miller.
Bears, they have to.
They got Kendrick Miller, who's kind of emerging himself as almost like a duplicate like Kamara.
Yeah, they've been splitting
He's
carries.
extremely quick.
And you talk about the age and such.
Right. So that could be something to keep an eye on. But yeah, no, you're right. I do want to quickly point out, if you like our picks here, throw them away. Odds come out to plus 581. Something if at all interested.
Are you saying Pats? Oh yeah, to recap our picks. Yeah,
our picks. Yeah.
Pats.
Oh, our best picks.
Yeah, Pats versus the Saints at -3.5 for myself.
Wait, what? Pats versus Saints?
Oh, excuse me, that was last week's. I just said last week's. Pats.
That threw me at such a loop.
Pats at Titans -7.
Yes, sir.
I'm rolling with the Panthers -1.5 against the Jets at
Close
MetLife.
the door.
And we are going Colts to steal a unfavored win against the Chargers, my arch nemesis in SoFi. And actually, sorry, just read through to the way. If you put those together, plus 665 if you like our picks together.
Just got berated by my dogs for a second. Sorry.
Plus 665. I'm
plus
hammering
665 if you like all 3 picks together. You throw them in a lay.
That's good value.
Those $60 there, put 10 on it. So
I'm not gonna do that.
How about you put $100 on PJ Tucker 5 made threes?
It would never happen. You could literally leave. You could put him in the 3-point contest. He's not hitting 5.
Do you know what I'm referencing though?
No.
No.
It was on Jeff Teague's podcast.
Time.
They were talking about. I think they were sponsored that week, and they were talking about different picks. And one of the hosts said, like, "Yeah, you put $100 on PJ Tucker 5 made threes, you'll make $3 million." Because it was just like, it was some insane. Because like PJ Tucker was just sitting in the corner all those games.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think that's all from me for today. Unless you guys got anything else you want to shout out, just Chargers hate.
I'll keep it in the back pocket here for we'll see what happens after this week.
Roll Panthers. Do it for the finger.
The finger.
You gotta keep this stupid thing on for another week.
Do it for the finger.
Do it for the finger. I'm just really hoping too. My 1:00 slate, at least this week, is much better than what it was last week, and prime time wise too. The Thursday and the early morning game were rough for me.
I think next week I'm gonna do the number, or I'm gonna look at the number specifically, because I think if you get rid of prime time, our picks are exponentially better. But again, last week we all hit it at over a 55% hit rate. I think you were the closest to 50-50.
But again, we're all in
Yes.
similar spots there. So I'm excited for next week. Socials are always like that _pod on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, all the socials. We got link trees
Yes.
on the bios as well, just in case you can't find them.
Hell yeah.
But happy football,
Hell
everybody.
yes.
Hope your fantasy matchups go great. And I cannot wait to go grab that other tissue.
Go enjoy the other tissue.
Thank you much.
Blow that nose.
I was gonna
Blow
say
that load.
great night, but we don't know when people are listening to this. Hope you have a great morning, great evening, great
Yeah.
afternoon.
Hope you enjoyed the
America
pod in
runs on
general,
hope.
and I just hope you win some money.
I hope I win some money.